Good morning, friends, and welcome to the golden hour with GunzPicks. I am GunzPicks. Just kidding, everybody. What's going on? How you doing on this beautiful Saturday morning? Let you guys get in here real quick. I am GunzPicks, and this is Saturday mornings with GunzPicks. As always, we are joined. We are going to be talking about everything college football today, and we need you guys to make the show happen. So that's how the way you do it is you get into the chat, you start putting in the comments, and guess what? Lo and behold, I answer questions. But I'll also be talking about the top 25 games. I also bring up the Cup of Coffee parlay, and also I got a few picks along the way. Supposed to have some friends joining me here shortly. Haven't heard from them this morning, so we'll see if they pop up. But nonetheless, the show must go on, and we must ride through this beautiful slate. Man, oh man, college football's going a little bit too fast on this one. I mean, we're talking week 12 edition on for this show, and we only have one more week of regular season. Then we have conference championships, and then into bowl season where we make our bank, as you know. Absolutely killed it last year, and hope to do it once again. And of course, football guy in the chat says, "Good morning. What's going on, my friend?" And then of course, Justin joining as well. We must ride, as he also gives his stat POD. He loves Mississippi State over 14 and a half. Stacks record 101 to 98. So go tail or fade that. But let's talk about some of these beautiful games on the slate today. As I got to get up my banner. Oh, there we go. Let's talk about this game right here. Oh, I'm sorry, not that game. My bad. Going to the top 25 games. Michigan versus Maryland. Really tough position here. It's supposed to be a sandwich spot here. You got Michigan coming off that big win versus Penn State last week. Kind of a boring win. Didn't really show much on the table. All they did was just basically run it down Penn State's throat. And then just absolutely Penn State doing Penn State things. When the lights are their brightest, guess what happens? They falter. But when you look at this Maryland game, I looked at this game on the board early on in the season. If you watch my preview show, I thought this was the massive trap of all trap spots, but I thought Maryland would be a lot better than they are. Well, they started the season looking really strong. Then all of a sudden they fell apart ever since the Ohio State game. Now I'm a little bit leery on this game altogether. Nothing I really want to play myself. I think it's a perfect sandwich spot here for Michigan going into the ultimate game that's going to decide their season with Ohio State coming up. I think they're going to probably take a position as we're not going to show anything on the cards that would give Ohio State any indication of what we're doing as far as play calling is concerned. Probably going to take the same mentality that they took with the Penn State game, maybe a little bit more run-oriented team. If they do go that route, they're facing a team that gives up 3.4 yards per carry in the run game, 218 yards per game in the pass, 340 yards of a total offense to their opponents. But and they've been pretty much average in the last 4 games as well. I think maybe I'm leaning towards the Maryland side on this one just because there's just too many points for this one. However, I don't know what signs they've stolen on this one, so I'm not going to play this one at all. I don't know what Michigan's mentality going into this game. It seems like the ultimate trap spot, in my opinion, for Michigan. But then again, Michigan has always shown up in the weirdest spots this season, dominating inferior opponents. So check boxes on both sides, in my opinion. Not going to be touching this one whatsoever. However, if we're going to be talking plays, let's talk a damn play here, all right? And I'm wearing the hat for a reason because it's a buy hat. Illinois versus Iowa. Iowa playing for my future ticket, 8.5 wins right now. They're sitting at 8. They have 2 more weeks. I think this is a great spot. Iowa playing at home in Kinnick to be taking them here at -3. Let me tell you why. Iowa coming into this game 8-2 straight up, 5-4 and 1 ATS, and they're off a commanding win versus Rutgers 22-0 plus 275 net yards for that game. Illinois on the other side of the coin, 5-5 straight up, 2-8 ATS this season, and off a win versus Indiana, 48-45 in the narrowest of margins, even though they dominated in the net yardage in that game, plus 211 net yards in that game. Iowa this season, 5-1 straight up, 3-2-1 ATS at home, plus 13-point differential, plus 15 net yard average. Acceptable numbers there for Iowa, especially with a team that lacks offense. But Illinois on the other side of the coin, 2-2 straight up, and ATS this season on the road with a -8 point differential, -40 net yard average with a -2 turnover ratio. So you have a night and day between road versus home splits on both sides. These two teams met in 2022. Iowa losing that game in the most boring game of all boring games, 9-6 as 3.5 point road dogs to Illinois. Now they're favored here. Good line swing, good between uh, year one and year two. Granted, missing key weapons on the Illinois side from last season's team, including Chase Brown. Um, Also, the team is really banged up too. Quarterbacks banged up, running backs banged up, so they have a lot of injury concerns as well. Also, got to look at Illinois, 8-1 straight up, 6-3 ATS versus Illinois, dating back to 2014. So that one loss that they had last year was the first loss that they had in years versus Illinois. Illinois also 0-4 ATS this season off a win, losing by an average of 9 points the following game. And you got to look at Iowa. They're in position right now to win the Big Ten championship, or actually be the representative of the West in the Big Ten championship. So high motivation here. Looking for the revenge spot. You got the line shift in that one. So you have a lot of these good boxes checked here to be running with the Iowa Hawkeyes today in Kinnick. Last home game of the season. Get it done. Get it right. Give me Iowa -3, 2-unit play. As my camera gets out of focus, I'll fix that one. One time in the building. Give him a little bit of a horn. He's joining us today. Football guy in the chat says we're doing team total over on Michigan, 34.5. Like that play there. I just think, I don't know, Michigan's just maybe not having their coach in this one changes the motivation a little bit in this game for me. God, I thought this would have been a great spot to smash Maryland, but I'm a little bit nervous for them here up the road from myself at College Park, Maryland today. Let's talk about some of these other. Let's talk about another top 25 game on this one, and I'll actually combo it with a play. Louisville versus Miami of Florida, the Canes in this spot. Weird situation here for Louisville, in my opinion, as I pull my sheets up real quick. Also, a weird line there for Miami as well. Miami, of course, playing at home. They're a better team at home. They, 35-19 average, which would give them a plus 16-point differential at home, plus 140 net yard average. Played some decent teams at home this season. Miami of Ohio, I mean, that's a MAC team, but they played A&M, Bethune-Cookman. That's not a decent team. Georgia Tech losing that game. Clemson winning that game. Virginia. So they've actually had, at least some proven battle-tested games here in at home this season. And they're playing a Louisville team that, quite frankly, kind of dropping off a little bit as far as flatness is concerned. Granted, they did beat a Duke team 23-0 at home. They did beat Virginia Tech 34-3 at home, but that's what they do at home. They've been playing exceptional ball at home. I mean, this is a team that beat Notre Dame undefeated. One loss Notre Dame off a bad loss, a close loss versus Ohio State the week prior. Beat them 33-20. I mean, this is a team that loves to play in their own environment. However, on the road, different story. This is a team that lost 38-21 to Pittsburgh on the road, okay? This is not a good battle-tested road team, and it shows in the numbers. I mean, they have a 0-point differential on the road this season. Now they're going to play a Miami team, and you're seeing this line sitting here at like a pick 'em. I'm seeing -1 hit the board here for Miami. Let's just get into the play here and tell me. I'm going to be taking Miami today. I love this play. I think Miami gets it done here, especially off back-to-back road losses to NC State and Florida State on the road. Close one versus Florida State last week. They played exceptionally on the defensive side of the ball. Plus 13 net yards, -1 turnover ratio, 6-4 straight up, 5-5 ATS. Louisville, like I said, they're coming off a 3-game winning streak, but most of those games are at home. That's where they excel. On the road, not so much. I mean, the only road tests they have had this season is NC State and Pittsburgh. When you look at the NC State game, they only won 13-10 on the road versus NC State. This is an NC State team at the time was not very strong whatsoever. Also got to look at Louisville. 0-4 ATS run on the road dating back to 2022. They're also, you look at Miami on this one. They're very good at home. They have a 5-1 straight up, 3-3 ATS at home this season. But they're playing. You're basically playing it at a pick 'em, so they know how to win at home. 5-1 straight up. I just think they're running a little bit too hot. Tough road test ahead for them, and then they have their rivalry game next week versus Kentucky. It's also a 4X revenge game for that game when they play Kentucky. So that I think they may be looking ahead, overseeing this Miami team that you know probably looking to get a nice little win here. They've only won 2 out of their last 6 now, and most of those losses are on the road, of course. They did beat Clemson at home. They did beat Virginia in a close one at home. I think they get it done here with the Hurricanes. That's why I have the buy hat ready to go. It's all about the U. The monster is back. Let's get it. Stand up, Hurricanes. Get it done here today. Give me Miami money line -110, 2.5 unit play, baby. Hit the horn. Going back to the chat, Cooper Dijon out for the game for Iowa, and the line hasn't moved. I'm going to check the line here real quick. I always look at this. When there's an injury concern, I check the line. If it affects them, fine. Hasn't moved a bit. So I guess the Cooper Dijon being out is a concern. However, books say don't worry about it. We will see as that game does tip off at 3:30 p.m. today. I just think they're motivated here. I think there's a lot of for what Iowa has gone through this season as far as injuries, losing McNamara, losing the offense not clicking, a lot of friction there with Kirk's kid running the offense. I just think this is one of those spots that they've built through this adversity. They've gotten victories. They put themselves in a position to go in the Big Ten championship once again. I think this is a perfect spot for them. We'll see. They may lay an egg versus Illinois, but Illinois is banged up, man. I don't know about that team at all. Not a team I'm willing to back on the other side. Wine Time says I'm on Maryland 19.5, went down to 18.5. You know what? Thinking about that game here for a second, if we know anything about Maryland, when they play these big opponents, and I'll probably have to do some research after the show, it's worth looking into the fact that maybe taking Maryland in the first half might be the play on that one. If you actually saw them versus Ohio State coming into that game, they were dominating in the first half. Second half, they kind of let their foot off the gas pedal. Maybe this is a first half type of situation for them. And then you cash your ticket and you kind of walk away, and whatever happens after that, right? Maybe Maryland comes out there swinging, home game, not the most craziest environment in the world over at College Park, but maybe Michigan just comes out here flat as hell. It doesn't show up in the first half. That would be an interesting take on this one if you want to if you want to look. I'd be looking at that first half, see what the line is. If the line correlates in there. If you got you got a short line there on Maryland in the first half, that might be a Maryland take altogether. Justin says he loves the Canes today. Go Canes. LVCC loves them as well. Clint, what's going on, my friend? What are your thoughts on Tulane? I think they roll here at FAU. Man, that was a team I loved last year. And for some reason, I guess I just did not want to take him here. So I'm looking at the odds screen here. The game does kick off here at 12 p.m. today. They're on the road. FAU looks like is the contrarian play on this one. Looks like it's a 8-point spread currently on the boards. I'm seeing a lot of 8s. But let's go take a deep dive here into the sheets. I mean, you have a team just rolling really strong on this one. However, when I look at the numbers with Tulane's playing a lot of one-possession games. All right, so you have you look they played North Texas at home, only won by 7. Rice, they went on the road, only won by 2. Eastern Carolina, not a great team in the AC, only won by 3. Tulsa last week, 24-22. So they're only beating teams by the narrowest of margins on this one. And you have a line sitting here at 8 right now, which is above a possession. Doesn't bode well here for Tulane. And then you look at Tulane on the other side. If you want a comparison corollary here, they did play Eastern Carolina and lost 22-7, minus 63 net yards in this one. They have 4 wins. They need to win out to get into the bowls. I don't know if the motivation is there, to be honest with you. Tough spot here, knowing that Tulane is just kind of going through the motions right now, maybe saving themselves for next week with UTSA coming up, big opponent for them. I probably lean towards the FAU side, very, 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 very small. I think the game to be looking at is next week versus UTSA with Tulane. That's a big game. So, and a regular season one at that. Not sure how the numbers worked out. I haven't seen the standings at all, but it'd be interesting if they just go play back to back, right? So you have a team, whoever wins that game will be the favorite in the AAC championship, and then they play each other again. I think those guys are sitting pretty high on the hog as far as the AAC is concerned. I know Tulane's undefeated. I'm pretty sure UTSA has not lost a single conference game yet. So I think this is going to be an interesting spot. Next week, I mean. J-Dub, what's going on, my friend? Get after it, Guns. Got any TD props? I don't play TD props whatsoever. I'm not a big prop guy. I do find certain situations based on how I feel the outcome of the game is. If you actually saw me on the Cincinnati and Ravens take last week, I told you to take the under on Jamar Chase yardage, knowing that T. Higgins was out and they would try to double up on him. So that was just a one take. I look for little situations, maybe over and unders on receiving yards, over and unders on rushing yards. Anytime touchdowns, not my thing, man. Not a good touchdown guy, and I don't pretend to be at all. LVCC, come back. He goes, Iowa State, D, real deal. Illinois, trouble. Seeing double digits. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think Iowa's going to be super, super motivated. They got beat by Illinois last year. This is not a team this is a team they've historically owned. I think that loss last year really hurt them. So I think this is a perfect Iowa spot. And granted, there's injury concerns on the Iowa side. Like Football Guy mentioned, line hasn't changed. So I'm good with it, man. J-Dub says, got Chase second half touchdown at plus 450. Excellent, man. That was awesome. Killer. Yeah, they're playing garbage time in that time. And John Browning. I don't know if John Browning is going to be the guy there for the Bengals. Be interesting. I did take a waiver. I had Joe Burrow in my fantasy, which really kills me. He's out for the season. So I had to go buy John Browning and try to move up into the we auction off the ad drops. So I had to put in an auction flyer for John Browning so I have a quarterback. Because I don't trust Mac Jones, and I have CJ Stroud too, but I have to play 2 quarterbacks. All good, man. Cheers, he says. What's up? Let's go into some more plays. Let's do that. Let's give some more action. You know what? Changed my mind. Actually, I want to give a little bit of story here. So this morning, 6 a.m., knock on my door, bell rings. I'm going, what the fuck is going on? Who's calling me this early? You know who it was? It was Juan Valdez. Juan Valdez on his donkey. He gave me the freshest cup of ground roasted coffee, and he says, "This is for your parlay." And I said, it was a sign. We're going to win today. So I took that coffee, I put it in my coffee maker, I grounded up the beans, I threw it into the coffee maker, I poured the water into the back, I hit the start button, and I could see the light coming in, and it hit me in the face. And I give you my week 12 cup of coffee parlay. Let's go. Cup of coffee parlay sponsored by Viva Tequila Sales. 4.5 ABV, 0 carbs, 0 sugar. You can go get them now, shipped to your house if you go to vivaseltzer.com. It's the most delicious tequila seltzer infused drink on the planet. It's great for tailgates. It's great for Thanksgiving celebrations. It's great for the holidays. So go check them out, vivaseltzer.com, and on Twitter at vivaseltzer. Cup of coffee parlay is bright, and boom, there it is. Miami money line, Army money line. Listen, Army short dog playing Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina, not a good road team whatsoever. 2 more wins Army gets a bowl bid, and guess who they have to face next week? They have to face Navy. I think they get it done. They're going to be super motivated. Give me Army money line. Also, give me Wyoming money line, UVA money line at home. Get it done. Cavaliers, Clemson money line, ND money line, Virginia Tech money line, Oregon State money line, Iowa State plus 7.5. Have to throw a spread in there. And of course, San Jose State money line on the late night degenerate side. Give me that parlay at plus 10,549. You put $10 on it, which is 2 Starbucks cups of coffee, I think, with an extra change. $1,054.90 will be in your pocket if it connects. And not only on this special day that you're watching right now here on week 12 edition of Saturday Mornings with GunzPicks, you not only get one parlay, you get 2. Let's shorten this up and let's narrow it down to the top 4 games I like this week, and we're doing a bonus parlay. We're doing Northwestern money line. Northwestern playing for their bowl bid here at home. Last home game of the season. They're a dog. Are they home? I think they're home. Now I don't know. I get my games mixed up on this one. Let me see. Yes, they're home. They're playing Purdue. They're going to get it done because next week they're going to play at Illinois. Tough spot for them as well. Miami money line. Love the U today. UVA money line. I expressed how much I love Virginia in this spot. I think they're motivated. Virginia Tech playing for their bowl bid at home where they play their best ball. So that is the money line parlay. It is plus 1,579 on that one. Smaller parlay. Maybe put a little bit of extra coin on this one to get a little bit more profit. I love that parlay. Those are my favorite plays today as far as parlay element is concerned. Now let's get into some of these other games that are on the action on the slate today. Let's talk about Utah versus Arizona. Arizona, one of the hottest teams in college football. They are covering monsters. Fafita stepping into the role as the quarterback, and they have never looked back. The coaching is exceptional. The program is back. I don't even know if the program's been this good ever. I can't think of an Arizona team that has really struck me as, holy, this is a football program now. But they feel like that right now. Their coach, Jed Fish, absolutely exceptional job there that he's done with his team. They're coming into this game playing at home, last home game of the season. They are 7-3 for the season, and I think they've basically covered virtually every spread except for one. And they're playing a Utah team coming off a loss at Washington, 35-28, on the second leg of a back-to-back. I kind of lean on the Arizona side. I know Shark gave the pick out at Arizona Wildcats, but I think this is a train you don't want to step in front of right now. I think this is their biggest game left on the season because they have Arizona State next week. Arizona State's not really a comparable opponent. They may be caught in a sleep next week versus Arizona State. However, I don't know. This team is really cooking right now. You have Noah Fafita right now hitting at 73.7 pass completion rate, 7.7 yards per attempt, 16 touchdowns, 4 INTs this season. And they're running the ball exceptionally well, putting up 4.9 yards per carry. They're a great passing team. They're going to be facing a really good defense, though. A defense that only gives up 300 yards of total offense to their opponents. But on the road, they're a very different story, giving up 389 yards of total offense to their opponents with a minus 3-point differential for Utah. I can't see any other direction but Arizona. If this game was flipped and Arizona was on the road playing at Utah, I'd probably have a different opinion. But I think this is an Arizona take on this one. We got to be rolling with the Wildcats. Not an official play, more of a lean. And I know Shark is on this one as well, so you can tail it as you may. But I think Arizona is just a train you don't want to step in front of. I love that team. I think they're going to be someone that we look at during bowl season, depending on the matchup as well. Let's get back into the chat here. Need your take on JMU App State opening high, came down, leveling at minus 10. My initial lean on this one was not to step in front of the train that is JMU, but I was looking at this game earlier, and it made me stay off the game altogether because of one, it's a really high spread, right? 9.5. It's dropped to 8.5. I've seen it now. It's at 10. but you have a JMU team on the second leg of a home stretch here. They played 3 out of their last 4 games at home. They had a flat spot versus ODU. They dominated Georgia State on the road, crushed Connecticut, and now they're going to play App State. Game days in town, super high motivational spot for them. But you have a App State team that's won 3 in a row. Southern Miss, Marshall, Georgia State. They beat Georgia State on the road. Tough spot on there. They got 7 wins in the season, 4 losses. 6 wins, 4 losses. Excuse me. So they've already got their bowl bid. They're already in. It's not the best season for them. What do they want to do? They're a running team. They love to run the ball. That's App State altogether. And guess who has the best rush defense in the country? JMU. JMU only gives up 2 yards per carry to their opponents, 2.4 at home. They did get gashed a little bit versus Georgia State, giving up 5 yards per carry versus them, but they only gave up 82 passing yards. So improvement on both sides. If anything, the way they're going to have to beat this JMU team is passing the ball and somehow not getting sacked in the process, because JMU can get to the quarterback with an 11.1% sack rate. This is a tough spot. A lot of points on this one. You look at the previous matchup. They did play last year. JMU was a 6.5 point dog on the road, and they won the game 32-28. Is there a revenge spot there? Sure, there is a revenge spot there for App State. But the line is flipped so significantly. Usually we take advantage of those line flips and because they tell you a story. All right. So I think this is more of a JMU bust the doors down type of element for them. I don't think this is going to be a close game at all. They're going to be able to stop the run. If you make App State one-dimensional and you force them to pass the ball, you may have a decent passing game. I mean, they put up 272 yards of total offense, passing offense this season, 281 at home, 263 on the road, 26-7 touchdown to turnover ratio for Joey Aguilar. Man, it's just I see check boxes on both sides. I really want to take App State on the plus, and then I kind of say JMU is going to blow the doors off of them. It might be just a stay away for me on this one. But if there's more boxes checked on one side than the other, it's a slight lean towards JMU. Hopefully, I now analyze that probably a little bit too long, but sometimes that's how you work things out when you're capping. See if I'm going down the board here. Thoughts on Jackson State game at Liberty? Man, we're going to the dirtiest of the dirty on this one, but I will give you my best analysis on this spot as I'm looking for Liberty. There we go. Liberty is at home versus Jackson State. Okay. So yeah, let's do Liberty first because Liberty's playing UMass. Okay. So UMass, what do they have to play for? They have 3 wins, right? They're on back-to-back wins. They won Army 21-14, and they beat Merrimack College by 10. All right. So this is not the juggernaut of all juggernaut of teams. They're going to Liberty. Liberty is just kind of smoking through their competition. They're undefeated. All right. If there was a position where UMass had a chance to make a bowl, they'd probably be a little bit more competitive on this one. Okay. I need to see the line. I don't know the line on this one. This is probably one when I saw UMass, I just said, ew, gross, and just passed on it. But I'm seeing the sharp side being the math side on this one, 26.5, a lot of points. It's probably why I just avoided it altogether. Where's the flat spot here for Liberty? Is there a flat spot for them? They're just off an ODU win by 28. They beat Louisiana Tech by 26. Those are better opponents than UMass. They dominated Western Kentucky on the road. This team is just steamrolling through their competition, and maybe they need to make a point. They have UTEP next week, not a strong opponent as well. They may go into this season, the rest of the season, just beating up on teams. It may come down to a possession. Could be a garbage touchdown this one. I don't like the Liberty game whatsoever. That's a complete pass. But let's look at the Jackson State game. Jackson State at home versus Louisiana Tech. Now, if you know anything about my relationship with Louisiana Tech, it's not a good one. I don't like Louisiana Tech whatsoever. I don't like betting on them. I don't care what the number is for them on this one. I would say that, you know, Jacksonville State probably has a little bit more to play for than Louisiana Tech. I think they just need a complete overhaul of that team. This is actually Louisiana Tech's last game of the season. They don't play next week. And then you have New Mexico State on deck for Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State hasn't really had a rivalry on this one, so I'd probably lean towards the Jacksonville State side, but I'm not playing this one at all. I can't trust Louisiana Tech as far as I can throw them. Even though it feels like the sharp side with them, it's never sharp side. This is a team that lost 42-27 to Sam Houston, okay? This is a Louisiana Tech team that lost to not the greatest of great teams in Sam Houston, and Jacksonville State, quite frankly, is a better team altogether. So I lean towards Jackson. I think Jacksonville State probably crushes them, but I'm not playing it officially. Yeah, Philly Liverpool says, remember, game day is there, so JMU will be hyped. Yeah, that's what I said. I said that earlier, that they're there. So it's like the lights are brightest, right, for JMU. They just got denied going to a bowl. They put in their appeal. Appeal got denied. That's a chip on their shoulder. That's motivation. That's what the coach will do in this situation. So that's why I think when you see the line that high with App State and App State kind of playing well, that's a sign. So maybe as we're talking this out, I might be going a little bit more towards the JMU side on this one. I love McLeod. I think that quarterback is exceptional. That was the piece that they were missing last year. Okay, they had Centeo as the quarterback last year. He got hurt. They had no backups, no depth, and it really crushed that team. They lost 3 straight, if you remember, last season without Centeo in the lineup. And Centeo, quite frankly, not the greatest quarterback in the world. This McLeod guy, though, exceptional quarterback, makes them dominant. That's why you see them sitting in the position they are today, undefeated, killing teams. Yeah, tough call on that one. Some of these games I just had to pass. I mean, there's a lot of games on this board this week that I love, but that one I just couldn't. There's just some of these. I love the bottom feeder games, honestly, but some of these games you just have to pass on this one. Are we gonna get? No, we're not. Unless Hawaii does something. I think the only the place that they can play is Hawaii. There's like a loophole I heard about if they can go to Hawaii, Liberty can play, and JMU can play in that game. That's the only bowl game they can get. I don't know the rules. I'm not privy to them. I know the appeal got denied for them to get into a bowl game, which is the dumbest of dumbest rules that the NCAA has put into their place about teams coming into the FBS, and you have a waiting period like it's layaway. It's so stupid. JMU's been ready to be an FBS opponent for, I would say, probably 6 or 7 years. And once they got up to the stage, they showed out. They played very well. And now you're just going to tell them, you're not going to get a bowl game. You don't like money. That team is going to take one of these little bottom feeder bowl games and make it, and people are going to watch it because everybody likes watching JMU. I do appreciate ESPN Game Day going to JMU to kind of pump them up too. That's a big move for them. Jay's final take. What's going on, my friend? Give him the horn for the thanks of this one. JMU first half could be a play too. Yeah, I mean, just look how it correlates to the line. So the way I look at first halves, just as a tip. So if you see the line at 8, you want to see the line at 5 or 6 or 5.5. You want to see like 60%, 58 to 60% of the spread going into the first half. That's the first half take. For example, I was on Baltimore last week in the first half. Why? Baltimore's a great first half team. And you look at the line correlation that when the line was -3.5, but the line on the first half was -3. So that is a huge, huge first half take on that one. So look for that. Has to be a dominant portion of the spread to go in the first half if you want to take JMU in the first half. If it's 50-50, you pass. What's the best look on the early games? Well, let me tell you, I'm wearing the hat. That's the biggest one that I have on this one. Also, let's talk about one of these other games. Good segue here as we go to my sheets. Let's talk about Purdue versus Northwestern. This is a game that tips off early, right? Purdue going on the road to go play a Northwestern team that, quite frankly, Northwestern, all adversity aside, are playing for a bowl bid today. Who thought that this team would win 5 games? Who thought this team would actually compete in the Big Ten? Everybody thought this team had one win maybe in them, losing their coach Fitzgerald. But the interim coach here, David Braun, maybe earned himself a position as the permanent head coach for this team, right? They're going at home. They're playing a Purdue team that is obviously down, uh, losing a lot of players. Not only Aiden O'Connell, but a lot of key guys in their offensive weapons. New coach as well, with Ryan Walters stepping into the position. Hudson Card, the quarterback. But they've lost 4 out of the last 5 games. They did beat Minnesota last week, 49-30. You got plus not 197 net yards in that game. 3-7 straight up, 4-6 ATS this year for Purdue. Okay. Northwestern on the other side of the coin, they had a nice road win versus Wisconsin, toughest place to play in Camp Randall, 24-10. Despite losing the net yardage battle, minus 17 net yards, but they were plus in the turnover ratio in that game. 5-5 straight up, 4-6 ATS this season. Now, when you look at Northwestern at home, they're 4-2 straight up and ATS this season with a plus 2 point differential, minus 6 net yard average, and a plus 5 turnover ratio. Purdue on the road on the other side of the coin, 1-3 straight up on the road, 2-2 ATS, minus 11 point differential, minus 16 net yard average, plus 2 turnover ratio. These two teams did meet in 2022, different teams at that point. Purdue winning that game only by the narrowest of margins there, 17-9, 17.5 point favorites at home in that game. Now you see in the line swing the other direction, 14 points in this one at 3. I think 3s, 2s, and 1/2s are on the board right now. As I look at the screen here, it looks like you're seeing 2.5s now, so the line is dropping. I did get plus 3 on this one, and I don't mind sprinkling on the money line because I think Northwestern will win this game outright. Also, look at this matchup as well. Northwestern 5-2 ATS versus Purdue, dating back to 2016. Northwestern, of course, highly motivated. They have 5 wins. They want to get to a bowl game, and that would be a huge deal, especially with everything that's been going on in that program. This team is motivated. I'm telling you. And they have Illinois next week on the road. All right, tough spot. I think it's a tough spot for Purdue, a Purdue team that is just trying to get to the end of their schedule and move on to next season. I think Northwestern gets it done here. I can't understand why they're a dog, so it's a smaller play for me. I think they should be minus 3 in this spot. I'm seeing the number here. I mean, actually, I think this should be a minus 6 for Northwestern. So the line is really not correlating to what the books are giving you on this one. But I'm going to be taking it anyways. I might be a trap as a relatively public dog in this one. Give me Northwestern here plus 3. Excuse me. 2 unit play for me on that one. Added play number 3, I believe. Wow, as we get back into the chat. LVCC asks, what about UGA and Tennessee? Tennessee can't get a good feel on this one. Not playing this game seems tricky. Yeah, I thought the same thing too on that one. I'm going to pull up my sheets just so I can read some of the numbers here. But when I looked at that game, lights are brightest. Georgia always excels, right? They excelled last week. I think Mississippi was more of a lights brightest type of game. And what did they do? They destroyed them 52-17. They did what they're supposed to do, plus 259 net yard average in that game. Fairly even on the turnover ratios, but they put up 8.6 rushing yards per carry, 300 yards rushing overall, and 311 yards passing, 611 yards of total offense versus Ole Miss last week. Now they're going to go on the road, back-to-back road games. They got Georgia Tech next week, which is going to be another snoozer. I know Tennessee's ranked. Tennessee coming off a loss 36-7 on the road versus Missouri, absolutely getting dominated, minus 180 net yards, minus 2 turnover ratio. When you look at the games that they were supposed to play well at Alabama, losing that one 37-20. Florida, the largest cocktail part, not the largest cocktail part, that's Georgia. Excuse me. It's still a rivalry game. 29-16 lost that one. But these are road games, okay? When they played at home, they played against a decent team. Texas A&M, they beat 20-13. This is probably the best game that they've seen. I guess UTSA 45-14, but that's a G5 school. I don't know if I can ever bet against Georgia at this point. This is when they play well. They're basically like a 100-meter sprinter, right? they know they're going to make the finals. They're not going to go sprint in the quarterfinals. They're not going to give it all out in the semis. They're going to run about 80 yards, and then they're going to take their foot off the gas pedal and then just slowly go across the finish line. That's been Georgia all season. It shows with their ATS record, right? They're not covering spreads. They're covering the spreads for big games. I don't know if this is the big game for them or not. That's the problem. I think the big game is the SEC championship for them. I don't know if it's this one. I know they played last season, and I know that Georgia did rock them in that game. They won 27-23 as 8.5-point favorites. Now they're flipping to the other side. That was at Georgia. Now it's 10.5. It's 10. So the line correlation tells you to take Georgia. It's just nothing I really want to play. It's a tough one. It's a head scratcher. I think there's opportunities to bet with Georgia. It's not here. I think it's down the road in the conference championships. I want to see the line in that one because it's probably going to be Alabama. It's probably going to be Georgia. And I want to see where these sit and what people perception is believed between Georgia and Alabama. I don't know. But I don't think Georgia, even if they lose that game, they'll still be in the college football playoff. I don't know where the motivation. Motivation is probably on the Alabama side of that game. But let's talk about that down the road 2 weeks from now. This is a complete pass for me on this one, LVCC. Looks like the line is flipped here. Was 2. It was -2, and then it flipped. Now there's +2, I believe. Are you talking about the Purdue is favored, and then it flipped, or the other side? Oh, you mean the other side? Or you're talking about Northwestern, right? Okay, I think you're talking about Northwestern. Yeah, I don't get that line movement at all because statistically, it just doesn't make any sense. I told you, I maybe walk into a trap. I didn't make it a 3-unit play. I made it a 2. It's kind of a regular play. I try to not pay attention too much to the market so much because it kind of consumes you too much and it takes you off what your analyses are. I'm just analyzing the game as I see it based on the numbers that I have. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. I've looked everywhere. I still think it's Northwestern here. I still think they get it done and they get to a bowl game. That's the only spot for me on this one. Philly goes, do you bet college basketball too? Any shows planned in the future after football season? Yes, I do bet college basketball. I did do shows last season on my other channel, and I do plan on bringing them back. I don't know how soon I'm going to bring them back. My goal is to maybe do a couple shows during Feast Week, which is next week. I may start doing some pop-in shows for some of these games if I like a couple games. But I've only been kind of dipping my toe into college basketball right now, trying to get my feels. When it comes to non-conference play, I'm not as strong or keened into a lot of the changes and where these teams are sitting right now. I love betting these teams in January, February, March, because then you have conference play, you have historical data, you know where these teams are sitting right now, and then you can see the difference between who's heating up and who's not. And I think there's advantages there. Absolutely killed the tournament last year. Crushed the tournament last year. So that's a good indicator there, but I'm a little bit hesitant to bet on a lot of these non-conference games when I don't know who the teams are, who the players are yet, and how these guys' dynamics work, because you have a lot more turnover in college basketball than you do in college football. The other channel you're talking about, Philly, was sports. It was the SWN channel, a Sports Wagering Network is what we called it. It was formerly the Dad Bodge channel. We changed it over, but Shark and I decided he wanted to do his own channel, and I said I'll just jump on with you. So I'm doing shows just strictly on Shark's channel. So the college basketball stuff that I'm talking about here is going to be on this channel, so you don't have to go anywhere else. So it's just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I'll be on this channel. Going on this one, I'm calling it now. Georgia will lose to Bama in the SEC title game. I kind of have that feeling too, Philly. I got to be honest with you. I want to see the line though. Sometimes the line correlation kind of indicates what the direction the books deem fit on this one. Georgia has nothing to play for in that game, and it was a similar situation. I think I want to say 2 years, was it 2 years ago that they played each other, Alabama and Georgia in that game, and Alabama was so motivated to go play in that game, or it was the other direction. One of the teams needed to win, the other team did not. And what happened? The other team won, two SEC teams in there. And I think those guys kind of play, in cahoots with each other sometimes. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too deep into the weeds, but I'm sure the SEC wants two teams in there, not one. So yeah, you're probably right on this one. It's probably a more motivational factor for Bama than it is UGA. Football guy likes UGA minus 9.5. And you're right. They're due for an L, and maybe that'll help them going into the college football playoff too. You don't going undefeated into a college football playoff unless you're a really structured, disciplined team like Georgia kind of is. Having a loss under your belt going in there, knowing what that feels like, that's a chip on your shoulder that you'll always have, and you're just going to be going out there balls out every single week to go play because you can't lose another game. Going to some of these other top 25 games on the board here. We talked Georgia and Tennessee. I'm not going to exhaust you with this one, but this is an interesting one here. You have UNC versus Clemson, right? Clemson, last couple weeks, playing at home, looking better. This is a team that kind of, you left them in the dirt when they were 4-4 straight up. Then you had a guy call into a show, Connor, I think his name was, a big Clemson fan, shit on Dabo. Dabo was pissed. Dabo let him have it. Then all of a sudden, this team starts smoking through their competition. They go and they beat a good Notre Dame team 31-23, despite losing the net yardage battle. And then they got in a position when they had to play Georgia Tech. Granted, is a team that they've owned historically, but Georgia Tech's been playing exceptionally well, especially against good opponents. UNC beat Miami. Then they go and they smoke them. Now they're playing a North Carolina team, another team that they own historically. Granted, they don't play each other as often as they do. This is a rematch, of course, of the ACC championship last year. But you seeing what are you seeing? A ranked opponent as a dog going on the road versus an unranked opponent. That opponent, of course, is Clemson. Minus 6.5, minus 7s. I think it's already peeped up to minus 7.5, so the value is dropped. I like Clemson in this one. I don't want to take it at 7.5, though. I want to take it at 6.5 or 7. I want to protect myself. UNC has really been playing not great lately, okay? Losing to Virginia at home 31-27. Losing to Georgia Tech 46-42. Narrowly beating a Duke team that doesn't have their quarterback 47-45. They're winning the net yardage battle, but it's not showing in the points. So they're not scoring. I don't know what the issue is with Drake May and the boys, but they're playing a Clemson team that's really heating up on this one. And don't sleep on that defense with Clemson. They have still continued to be exceptionally well, especially at home. 250 yards of total offense given up to their opponents, 2.7 yards per carry in the rushing game, 163 passing yards per game to their opponents, 51.6% pass completion rate to their opponents. This looks like a team that should be talked about in the college football playoff, but they have 4 losses. 2 of them were back-to-back road games versus Miami and NC State. They shouldn't have lost to NC State. I don't know what happened there. They lost to Duke in week 1. That was a road game. That was a tough spot for them. Riley Leonard showed out in that game, and that defense showed out as well. And then they lost to Florida State. Florida State at home, a game they should have won that. If you remember, driving down the field, fumble return, touchdown, a lot of anomalies in that game. Probably could have beaten Florida State in that spot. Did not. So Clemson, while you can say this team sucks, this team is terrible, what happened to this team? They just have brain farts. They just have blips in the radar that really screw them in this game. I think this team is going to finish the season strong. I really do. I think Clemson is going to play like same old Clemson, and they're going to be a very good bowl team to take this season, whoever they play. I believe it. We'll see today because they should beat the doors off of UNC. If you actually check the history of that game, they won last year in of course neutral field 39-10, 7.5 point favorites. Then they won a close one in 2019. So a lot of the numbers are a little bit skewed and spread. But when these two teams meet, 5-0, the home team wins ATS and straight up. So I think this is a perfect position. We got to be taking Clemson. I'll put the buy hat on for just good measure. Give me Clemson today. All right. I'm going to add it to my card, but I'm gonna buy a half a point. Okay. I'm going to play a little bit of juice. I'm going to protect myself. I have 7. I got it earlier in the week, and I just want to tell you guys right now, if you see 7.5, it's on the board. Try to find a 7. If you can't find a 7, look for your best price to get down to a 7. That 7 and a hook is just gross. And you could get caught with your pants down on some, them up 14, and then, touchdown happens and you got garbage time altogether. So yeah, I like Clemson in this one. Let's go back to the chat. We're talking scenarios in college football playoff, and this is what I love. I love talking scenarios. If UGA loses in the SEC champion, who says they make it? Texas, UGA, and Bama will be 12-1. Listen, Texas is not getting the red carpet treatment going to the Big 12 championship, okay? A lot of things need to happen in this one. I'm not even sure Oklahoma is going to get there, okay? If I remember, I have to double check, but I think isn't Oklahoma State in the driver's seat right now to go into the Big 12 championship? Am I wrong? I don't know if I'm wrong because they did beat Oklahoma. So if there is a tiebreaker, Oklahoma State has it. So I think maybe we would be looking at Oklahoma State, not Oklahoma and Texas. And if that's the case, anything can happen in that game, okay? Texas doesn't have a free pass. Texas still has to play 2 more games. They have Texas Tech at home, and then they got a tough opponent on the road in Ames, Iowa. Iowa State, granted, they haven't had the best season in the world. Who says they can't win a game? Who says they can't go in there and beat Texas? I'm sure they're going to be super motivated today. I did put them in the parlay. We'll see about that one. That's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be an interesting 3 weeks there for Texas. Too many people. I've seen Texas give up. Texas will be Texas eventually, whenever. I don't trust Sarkisian. I don't trust that team. I don't trust Quinn Ewers. I know they've done exceptionally well. They beat Alabama earlier this season, but hell, Alabama is not the Alabama that you're seeing now. Milroe needed some development, needed some progression, needed some reps to get to where this team is today. Defense has always been there. I don't know. Texas could get beat. Now, this is a funny one. Thank you, Philly, for making me laugh. Oklahoma on upset alert versus BYU. Senior day and playing at BYU is tough. If that happens, you're Nostradamus, okay? You are the ultimate prognosticator of seeing the future because BYU is terrible. They're the worst team in the Big 12. Cincinnati may have a spot in there too, but I've watched BYU games and I watch them get stomped by every single grandfathered in Big 12 team this season. I don't think Oklahoma is going to lose that game. And if they do, by God, there is trouble with Venables because I know BYU theoretically is a tough place to play. Statistically, you can look at the Texas Tech game, but you got to understand Texas Tech was playing with a freshman quarterback that can't play. He's terrible. He's awful. Turnovers killed him in that game. That's why they won that game. That's why BYU won that game against Texas Tech. But BYU, look at the numbers. Look at the box scores. They're absolutely awful. And if you want to know the numbers, I'll give them to you right now. Because every time I look at this, I look for positions to fade BYU. I don't like fading them on a row at home, obviously. They lost 45-13 to Iowa last week, okay? Minus 25 net yards, okay? Versus conference competition, okay? Minus 15-point differential, minus 160 net yard average, minus 2 turnover ratio this year. They're not good. Not good. I don't think they've won 2 conference games this season. Texas Tech at home and Cincinnati at home. Not the biggest teams in the world. Texas Tech was because they had no quarterback. Their backup quarterback was hurt. Their starting quarterback was hurt. They were down to their third quarterback, and Jake Strong. Jake Strong stinks. So, yeah, I don't think Oklahoma loses that game at all. Maybe cover. You're right. Maybe cover. I mean, there is I don't know. That's a tough one. They have 2 back tough back-to-back games too with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. And then what do they got to play for? I guess they got 5 games. So yeah, I guess there's some motivation there to go get that 6. Yeah, I'd probably say lean on the cover, but man, I hate playing BYU. I just hate him. I'm not a Keaton Slovis guy either. I mean, Keaton Slovis, he's just a journeyman that gets tossed around from team to team. He's just not great either. Um, Going down the board, let's talk about another big game here. Kansas State versus Kansas. Unbelievable situation here for Kansas. Of course, Kansas State has owned this Kansas team historically, but this is not your grandfather's Kansas team. This is a Leopold special. Leopold. I don't even know how to say his name properly, but he is doing great things over there. I hope he stays with the program, but money talks for in college football. So looking at this line, you're looking at what, 8.5s on the board, maybe 7.5s if you're shopping right. Maybe actually it might be even popped up to 9. I saw 9.5 yesterday, but that is a screams a line here for the Wildcats on this one. Of course, the quarterback situation in loophole. Jason Bean. I don't know if he's going to be playing this game. I haven't looked at the stats on this one. But if he doesn't play, that's a bad deal on this one because they don't have much else on in the backfield as far as taking the snaps. I hate to go against history and not take Kansas State on this one. I'm not going to be playing this game because I think the line is a little bit too high. Last year was 11.5 at home for Kansas State. Now you're seeing the line flip kind of in the direction of the sharpest of sharp numbers here at 9.5. So the line flip is correct from year 1 to year 2. And then you look at the history 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 straight Kansas State has beaten Kansas. And Kansas has only covered 3 of those. So that is a good indicator there. That's probably history tells you to take Kansas State. I think they win the game, but I'm not going to be playing that number whatsoever. It just feels like it's going to be a little bit more of a public mess. Everybody taking Kansas State because of the history. I ain't playing that one at all. So it is a complete pass for me. Good to watch, though. Maybe Kansas gets it done. But if Jason Bean's not going to be playing in that game and they have to go with like their third string, that team is finished. Hopefully he does play, though, because that would make it a little bit more interesting. All right, let's go back, check out some of these other plays that are on the board. I think I gave out everything. Let me see what I did. Oh, no, I got one more play for you guys. I think this might be the first time I've taken them this year. And you see my background. You see Notre Dame stuff. I've talked about it. I wear the clothes. I wear the apparel. I cry over them. I yell about them. And I'm on them this week. Wake Forest versus Notre Dame. Senior day over in South Bend, Indiana. Sam Hartman's last home game of the season. Great, he's only been there 1 year, but still, nonetheless, they will be celebrating him today. Wake Forest coming to this game, losing 6 out of their last 7 games. Only win was Pitt. Coming off a loss last week versus NC State, 26-6, getting dominated in the yardage battle, minus 216 net yards. Now you got NDA. Notre Dame coming off a bye after losing to Clemson. Okay, I'm wearing the hat. Ironically enough, they lost 31-23 despite winning in the yardage battle, plus 44 net yards, minus 1 turnover ratio. Now, you look at Notre Dame. They've dominated their competition at home this season, plus 30 point differential, plus 185 net yard average, plus 9 turnover ratio, 4-1 straight up, 3-1-1 ATS this season at home. And then you got Notre Dame in another factor coming off a bye week. Typically, you look at them historically, they have always excelled off bye weeks. They're 4-1 ATS off a bye dating back to 2021 and 3-0 ATS off a bye under Marcus Freeman. Now you got to look at Wake Forest. Consistently regress week to week. They have a minus 11 point differential, minus 118 net yard average in the last 4 games. And of course, Wake Forest's offense has struggled versus good defenses on the road. This season, they've been held under 300 yards of total offense versus Virginia Tech, Clemson, Florida State, and NC State. And then, of course, my opinion is Notre Dame is probably arguably the better defense out of these 5. I guess you can argue Clemson. Maybe you can argue Florida State. But I think Notre Dame has a really good defense. Largest spread that Wake Forest has faced all season, by the way. And I told you some of those teams that I mentioned, Florida State, college football playoff contender, and that game was 21 points. Okay. And Florida State won that game by 25. So that is a line correlation there. This is a big spread for a team that, you know, theoretically doesn't have much to play for, but Notre Dame at home, they always play very well in these spots, especially against lackluster teams coming off a bye. After getting beat, they're going to want to get right. Marcus Freeman always is a great motivator, a great coach. Hopefully he can get past this, got to win a top 10 game. I don't want him to turn into Franklin. Please don't turn into Franklin. I need you to be the guy. He's a great recruiter. But they're coming out the bye, back home, final home game of the season versus Wake Forest team that, quite frankly, has given up on the season. I think this line is telling you a story here. Give me the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at home, last game of the home season, minus 24.5, 2-unit play. Philly back in the chat. Sam facing his old team on senior day. That is another great point. I don't know why that didn't pop into my head, but that is a motivational factor there. It's not going to be on the Wake Forest side. Quite frankly, I don't even know if anybody exists on that team that knows who Sam Hartman is anymore. I think Sam just wants to get it done with this team. He wants to show out. I think his numbers it's up and down. It's wishy-washy in some of these positions, and I think he just wants to go out there and just beat up on the team. And if you watch what happened to them after a bye, the last time they played Pitt, another bad team. They beat the doors off of them, covered that spread easily on that one. I think they put up 50-plus points against them. I see a similar situation in this spot. You may have the fourth quarter dealing with a lot of guys coming into the game, last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, you got backups coming in. A lot of seniors have probably been with the team, walk-ons. You're going to have one of those situations there at the end of the game, in my opinion, but it doesn't matter. Notre Dame is just an exceptional program that will get it done. Wake Forest got nothing left in the tank. Want to make sure that everybody saw this one. If you're watching right now, you're watching later, you watched earlier, please like and subscribe to this channel, Shark Waters Nation channel, and hit the thumbs up for this video. It spreads the word, spreads the love, and allows other people on the YouTube universe, if they're searching out gambling content, they come to us. So please, that is how we get into the all-pronounced competitive algorithm that is sports gambling content. So that's how you help us there. And of course, follow me if you don't at GunzPicks. My name's right there. If you don't already, on Twitter, X, or whatever you call it now. But I want to make sure that everybody sees the aforementioned, the notorious cup of coffee parlay. Let's do it. And as always, a cup of coffee parlay sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzers. Go check them out, vivaseltzers.com. Here is the parlay today. 10-legger I'm going to be going with here. Got Miami money line, Army money line, Wyoming money line, UVA money line, Clemson money line, Notre Dame money line, Virginia Tech money line, Oregon State money line, Iowa State plus 7.5 because I'm too much of a pussy to take them on the money line versus Texas. And I'm going to be going San Jose State money line in the late night degenerate game as they're a 14.5 point favorite, but it's on the money line. Give me that one at 10,000 plus 10,579, and that will get you $1,054.90 if you put $10 on it, because we're not playing big parlays here. But wait, there's more. We have a bonus one today. I decided to do a little smaller one. Probably put a little bit more coin on this one as well. These are my favorite plays today. I think Northwestern gets it done here on the money line. I'm hoping. Miami on the money line, UVA on the money line, and Virginia Tech on the money line. Playing a lot of Virginia teams today, and of course 3 ACC teams with 1 Big Ten to boot. Plus 1579 is the parlay on that one. So we're going to hit one of these damn things already. Gosh, usually I've already hit one this year, but it's been tough, man. College football this year has been really tough for me, and the NFL has been cooking. So kind of an opposite spectrum this year than last, but still, we have a lot of season to go. I ramp up in the last 3 weeks, including bowl season, okay? This is where we gotta make this money, man. I'm telling you. Let me talk about this one here. Isn't that Texas ISU at ISU? That is correct. It is in Ames, Iowa. They do Texas's last game of the season is at home, and I believe it is against Texas Tech. That is correct. Yes, they play at Texas Tech at home next season, but next game. Iowa State is on the road. They're off a back-to-back, off a narrow win versus TCU, 229-26. Tough spot going on the road here versus an Iowa State team that, quite frankly, if we're talking about this game, coming off that big win versus BYU, looks like they've got 6 wins. They've already made a bowl. I don't know where the motivation is, but you're playing Texas. You got to be motivated for that one, right? Eric P in the chat says Northwestern +3. I'm seeing -2.5. Are you really seeing that? Hold on a second. Are you kidding me? Stand by. I got to look at this one here. Northwestern. Yes, I'm seeing that. Hold on a second. Make sure I got the number right. I could have sworn I got plus. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Got a lot of numbers in my head. Sorry, I just pulling up my official number here. Wow, that's sorry, I'm looking for it. I got when you shop around a bunch of books, you forget which books you put the bet in because you're just buying lines, right? I did it earlier in the week. I'll tell you that. And I thought they were on the plus. I could have sworn they were. Yeah, Northwestern is on the plus. Even when I put it in the parlay, they were plus 115. So the line has already flipped that much. Choo. I must have done it. Sorry about this. God, I just want to make sure I get the right line for you guys. And if it is that, then that's a great look then, because I do think I will say this. If the line is currently -2.5 on Northwestern, I said it earlier. I think this is should be a -6 line for Northwestern. That's why I was like, this line doesn't make any sense to me. I have Northwestern +3, -113. That is the number that I got earlier in the week. I bought it twice because I got it at I bought the money line too. So at +129. Great. I don't know what to tell you. That's a great exclusive line flip because I'm telling you, I looked at it this morning and I got it. I put it in the parlay this morning at +115. Something happened. I don't know if there's a key injury on this one. It may be. No, I'm thinking about Illinois. That's my fault. Yes. Okay. Northwestern, baby, all day long. I love it. I love the play now. Now I love the play. That's why the line flipped. I got you. So crazy. What happens with college football lines? You don't see this with the NFL. And that's what makes me so crazy about some of these lines, because you buy them on a Monday, you buy them on a Tuesday, you try to get ahead of the numbers. Sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. And sometimes the line correlation flips in the movement and the steam or what have you. Does it you think you're on the right side and then shit happens, right? So that's the way the ball bounces on this one. So I gave you the 2 parlays. If you missed the parlays, just hit the rewind button. You can go see them in there if you want to fade or tail. I would love it if I put some W's in the chat right now. If you're going to be tailing the parlays today, that would be appreciated. I want to make sure I give you the recap of the games that I'm going to be on today. I gave you the Miami Hurricanes money line -110. Let's go you. I gave you Iowa -3 playing for their my future win over ticket at 8.5. Got Notre Dame at -24.5. off the bye, senior day, get it done, Irish. And then we're going to go with Northwestern. I got it at +3. Take it at -2.5. They're going to win that game. They're going to get into a bowl. I love Northwestern today. So those are the 4 plays that I'm going to add to the card. Of course, if you didn't miss the plays yesterday, Knowledge for College, there is a show that we did with the Shark. I gave out 6 more plays there. Shark gave out 3. There's 9 more plays there. And if you have any other opinions, you want me to talk about any other games, you can hit me in the DMs at GunzPicks on X. Philly says if Oklahoma loses, I will tweet you. Yes, and I will make sure to give you your props. I will clip that comment and I will have to put it on my Twitter because you were the Nostradamus of old Nostradamus, and I would have to bow to you if that happens. But man, BYU stinks on ice. But those are the plays. Again, Miami, Iowa, Notre Dame, and Northwestern. And of course, the parlays. I'll pop them up here one time for you. Here's the first one right there. 10-legger, just for fun. We're not playing with big money on this one. Then, of course, we've got the smaller one. I gave you a bonus today because I was feeling froggy. 4-legger. Those are the teams I like today. Northwestern. I got them at +115 in that parlay too. So those are the parlays for today. Hopefully we cash some tickets. I'll make sure I recap the 6-pack that I gave out yesterday. I can tell you for the early games, the 2 o'clock, I like Wyoming -13.5. So go grab that now. Hopefully it doesn't hit hopefully it doesn't hit 14. I got it under a key number, so that's why I liked it here at -13.5. And of course, join us tomorrow for the Circuit Million Show, Sunday, 10:30 a.m. with myself, the Shark, and the Odds Fellow to give out the NFL plays. I got 5 I will be giving out. Shark's got a few as well. And of course, Anthony coming out the back, he'll bring out his big plays as well. So go check that out, 10:30 a.m. Be there or be square and be in the comments and hit the like button and all that other stuff that people say on these videos. But thanks for joining here for a cup of coffee. We went an hour and 12, a little bit long on this one, but hell, you guys were absolutely awesome in the chat. I appreciate you. Philly, Live, Liverpool, Eric P, Bet the Sky, Football Guy, LVCC as always, Jay's Final Take, Wine Time, G-Dub, Clint, Justin, and all you beautiful bastards that join us every single week. I appreciate the support, appreciate the love, and I'll probably do some college basketball shows. I will keep you posted on that this week, of course, with the tournaments going on, Maui Invitational, and all the beautiful stuff that's going on during Feast Week. But thanks for joining. Let's cash some tickets. Let's dominate the damn board. And as always, let's keep dancing.